Sophie, do you know why most people are watching this right now?
I think they are looking for a way to finally speak English without fear.
Not just English, Sophie. They're looking for permission to speak without shame.
That is deep. So you are saying the problem is not language, it is emotion.
Exactly. Language is easy. Emotion is what blocks everything.
Then what emotion is it?
Fear. Silent, invisible fear. The kind that sits in the mind and whispers, "Don't try, you will fail."
So every time they try to speak, that fear speaks first?
Yes, and their real voice never even gets a chance.
Ayan, how do we break something like that?
We don't fight it directly. We replace it.
Replace fear with what?
With safety, with repetition, with controlled exposure.
Sounds scientific, but also simple.
The most powerful systems always look simple from outside.
So what is the first step?
Step 1 is something I call shadow speak.
Shadow speak. I still feel that name is mysterious.
It should be, because it changes how the brain sees speaking forever.
Explain it to me in a way anyone can understand.
Imagine this. You are standing alone in a room, no people, no judgment, only your shadow in front of you.
So basically, you are speaking to yourself?
Not exactly. You are speaking to a version of yourself that cannot judge you.
That removes pressure instantly.
That is the point. Pressure is what kills fluency, not lack of vocabulary.
So what do they actually do in shadow speak?
Very simple. They stand up, face a wall or mirror, and speak for 2 minutes continuously.
2 minutes only?
Yes, but without stopping. No translation, no perfection, no editing.
That sounds harder than it looks.
It is harder emotionally, not technically.
What do they talk about?
Anything real. What they did today, what they ate, what they feel, what they see around them.
So the content doesn't matter.
Exactly. The act matters more than the content.
So the brain is learning, I can speak safely.
Yes, you are training the nervous system to stop treating English like danger.
But Ayan, what if someone feels stupid while doing it?
That feeling is expected. That is the resistance breaking.
So discomfort is actually progress.
Always. Comfort keeps you stuck. Discomfort reshapes you.
What happens after a few days of shadow speak?
Something very interesting. Silence starts to feel heavier than speaking, meaning they feel more pressure when not speaking than when speaking.
That is a complete reversal.
Exactly. That is the first sign of transformation.
But there is still one big problem, right?
Yes, the second biggest barrier.
Let me guess. Panic?
Correct. The 30-second mental freeze.
Oh, yes, that moment when someone asks a question and the mind just goes blank.
That is not failure. That is overload.
Overload of what?
Overload of translation. The brain is trying to convert instead of respond.
So what should they do in that moment?
Stop trying to be perfect. Start trying to start.
Start with what?
One word, any word, even yes, no, or a simple sound.
Just to break silence?
Yes, because silence is the real lock. The first word is the key.
So fluency starts with imperfect words.
Always. Perfect speech comes later. Movement comes first.
That changes everything people believe.
That is why most people never start. They wait for perfection that never arrives.
So shadow speak builds safety, and this drill builds reaction?
Exactly. Shadow speak removes fear. Panic drill removes freeze.
What comes after that?
After that, we enter the most powerful shift in the human brain.
Which is?
The moment they stop translating and start thinking in images.
That sounds like a big jump.
It is not a jump. It is a rewiring. When they hear water, they should not think of the Urdu word. They should see water.
Like visual thinking?
Yes, visual thinking is how fluent speakers actually think, not in translations.
So vocabulary becomes visual memory.
Exactly. The brain stores experience, not dictionary entries.
So that is why people remember emotional things faster.
Correct. Emotion is glue for memory.
So if someone practices shadow speak and visual thinking together,
Then something powerful starts happening.
what happens?
English stops feeling like a subject. It starts feeling like identity.
Identity. That is a strong word.
Because fluency is not about learning English. It is about becoming someone who already uses it.
So at that point, they are no longer translating.
Exactly. Words start arriving directly, without permission.
That sounds like the real breakthrough moment.
It is, but we are still not done.
There's more?
Yes, because now we enter the mirror phase.
Mirror phase. I feel that will change everything again.
It will, because now we don't fix speech, we fix identity.
So what happens in the mirror?
They look into their own eyes and speak to their future self.
Future self.
The version of them who already speaks fluently in 2026.
That is powerful, but also unusual.
Unusual is what breaks old identity patterns.
So they're basically visualizing themselves as fluent speakers.
Yes, and the brain cannot fully separate imagination from reality.
So it starts building that future automatically?
Exactly. The brain begins to align behavior with identity.
Ayan, this feels like we are not just teaching English anymore.
We are not. We are rebuilding the speaker inside the person.
And shadow speak was just the beginning?
Yes, it was only the door.
So what comes next?
Next, we enter the identity injection phase.
That sounds like the deepest level.
It is, because now we stop practicing English and start installing belief.
And what kind of belief?
The belief that they are already someone who speaks English freely.
That changes everything.
It changes everything because behavior always follows identity.
So this is where real transformation begins?
Yes, but identity injection has 5 phrases that must be spoken daily.
And we will cover them next?
Yes, but only when they are ready to stop thinking like learners.
And start thinking like speakers. Ayan, last time we stopped at identity injection. You said it is the deepest level.
Yes, Sophie, because this is where we stop training English and start rewriting identity.
So this is no longer about speaking practice.
No, this is about who they believe they are when they speak.
Then let's not delay it. What is identity injection?
It is a daily reset of self-image using 5 powerful statements.
Statements like affirmations?
No, Sophie, not affirmations. These are identity commands.
That sounds more serious.
It is, because the subconscious doesn't respond to wishes, it responds to repetition and certainty.
So what is the first command?
I am someone whose voice deserves to be heard in every room I enter.
That immediately changes insecurity into ownership.
Exactly. It removes the idea of permission.
And the second one?
I am someone whose voice flows through me naturally because I have already accepted it as part of me.
That removes the feeling of learning and replaces it with belonging.
Yes, belonging is stronger than motivation. Every mistake I make makes me more fluent, not less.
That completely destroys fear of failure.
Because now mistakes are not threats, they are proof of progress.
That alone can change someone's entire mindset.
It does, but we go deeper. My story is valuable, and I speak it clearly in any language.
That gives purpose to speaking.
Yes, because people don't struggle with English, they struggle with believing their voice matters.
And the final one?
I am not trying to become fluent. I already am someone who speaks English freely.
That is identity completion.
Exactly. That is the switch from becoming to being.
So if someone repeats these daily, what happens inside them?
Their internal identity starts shifting first, then behavior follows.
So confidence comes before fluency.
Always. Fluency is just the reflection of identity.
So Ayan, now I want to connect everything. We started with shadow speak, right? So let's break it down simply. what does shadow speak actually do?
It removes fear of judgment.
And the panic drill?
It removes freezing. It removes translation.
Mirror hack?
It rebuilds identity perception.
And identity injection?
It locks the new identity permanently.
So it is like a full system?
Yes, Sophie, not a trick, a system.
But Ayan, what about people who say, I will start tomorrow?
Tomorrow is where transformation goes to die, because tomorrow gives fear time to negotiate.
So what is the real starting point?
The moment they felt uncomfortable watching their own silence.
That discomfort is actually the signal?
Yes, not failure, signal.
Ayan, what changes in the first week if someone actually does this?
Day 1 to 3, they feel lighter when speaking.
Meaning less fear?
Yes, fear becomes quieter.
And after that?
Day 4 to 6, they stop translating in simple moments.
That is a big shift.
Yes, because thinking starts becoming direct.
And day 7?
They speak one natural sentence without planning.
That is the breakthrough moment.
Exactly. That is the moment identity starts changing.
So one sentence can change everything?
One real sentence is more powerful than years of memorization.
Ayan, what happens after that week?
They enter real conversations.
Like real people? Real situations?
Yes, small interactions first, low pressure.
So not interviews or big speeches.
No, a shopkeeper, a greeting, a simple question.
So the brain learns safety in real life, too.
Exactly. Shadow speak builds safety alone. Real life builds safety in public.
Ayan, I think the biggest message here is not English.
It never was.
Then what is it really about?
It is about ending silence.
Silence caused by fear?
Yes, fear disguised as hesitation.
So if someone is still silent after watching this,
Then they are not unskilled. They are just unstarted.
that is a strong line.
Because starting is the only real skill.
Ayan, I want a final message for them, something they will remember after this ends.
Okay, Sophie, listen carefully. English does not belong to perfect speakers. It belongs to brave speakers.
Brave, not perfect.
Yes, because perfection never speaks. Courage does.
So what should they do tonight?
Stand in front of a mirror. Speak for 2 minutes. No editing, no fear, no stopping.
And if they feel awkward?
That awkwardness is the old identity breaking.
Ayan, this feels like more than learning.
It is. It is reconstruction.
So if we summarize everything in one line,
The voice they are waiting for is already inside them.
they just have to unlock it. And the key?
Action. Not tomorrow. Not later. Now.
Final words?
They didn't come here to learn English.
Then why did they come?
To remember that they were never silent, just waiting.
And now?
Now they speak.